Savuke kuseni ngo-76 sayofuna abafundisi obaqeqesha Stephen Biko General Mandala abantu abamnyama bakhala bomama bayakhala bobaba bayakhala bazale ngo-Stephen Biko savuke kuseni ngo-2015 bayilwela abafundi fees must move Stephen Biko General Kamala
he probably made was to swallow that thing whole, and as with any
uncritically.
Yeah, to just take it in uncritically. But I mean, obviously, as with all ideologies or ideas, there are a few elements that are good and then some negative aspects of it. So what I mean by that is the existence of the red pill and the frustrations that are expressed by some men are real. Because we know the hustlers are these guys, Myron Gaines, Andrew Tate, these guys are the hustlers and the ones making money. But then you have the guys who are aggrieved, the guys who feel aggrieved out there who are following this guy. Those guys are real believers, but these ones know that.
And that message is dangerous in countries like South Africa,
Absolutely.
Especially this one that bashes women, because already you have an uncontrolled culture of violence towards women.
I was listening to some other podcast. I don't want to mention the name, but those who watch the episode will know what I'm talking about. There's this young lady who was being interviewed, and she says she's Christian, and from what I could hear, even before she said anything, I was like, this is a red pill, this. And then at some point she said the person she looks up to is Candace Owens. I was like, I knew it. I think
I know who you're talking about.
So I listened, I listened to the rhetoric and I was like, Pusho, some of our sisters who are resonating with this thing, it really is because it could be that they really do genuinely feel that, the men really their side has not been listened to. We do want that, but what we don't want is the extremism stuff now.
This is extremism.
Now
I was actually thinking to myself when I saw clips from that very same podcast that, I think women who uncritically, this is the way that I must underscore, uncritically criticize feminism are like black people who will uncritically criticize black liberation politics in the sense that a lot of the privileges, if I may call it that women enjoy today were the result of feminist struggles.
Yeah.
The fact that women can inherit stuff, open bank accounts, work, a lot of these things.
Which makes sense.
Came about through the struggle of feminism. And so I was saying that, when women criticize feminism, and I'm not trying to suggest that feminism is beyond reproach, they should rather criticize different waves of feminism, because I think currently we're on the fourth wave. So if you are going to criticize the fourth wave of feminism, that's better than criticizing feminism itself.
Yeah, no,
because
I don't even think about it in terms of waves. I just think about it in that same continuum of there are moderate positions that can be reasonable and sensible, and then there's extremism.
No, very sure. But I'm just saying that, when you criticize feminism as a woman, in fact, even as a man, you have to appreciate and be charitable to the movement, what the movement has achieved. and also call it out where you think they were wrong. I think
Exactly.
with feminism is like any other movement. It's constituted by human beings. It's
like any
other
ideology.
movement.
It's like any ideology.
Yeah, it's constituted by human beings. And because it's constituted by human beings, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to have flaws. Like you're saying, any ideology has flaws. You can bring anything has flaws. And therefore, when we critically engage with an ideology, we must do so fairly. We must acknowledge. We must acknowledge the struggles that feminism has championed. We must acknowledge where we feel like, no, here it fell short.
Going too far.
It fell short. Or it's extreme, or it's whatever, right? Like any other movement. But to just sit there and say, hi, feminism, that's extremism. That's extremism. And it's what you're talking about. This is YouTube scholarship.
Yeah, look, Pusho, I actually just reflecting on the emperor has no clothes. Like the empire is gone, Pusho. I was just thinking that imagine in 2024, in American political discourse, the conversation is whether or not women should have the right to vote. 2024, Pusho, in the most civilized part of the world, right? I mean, that's the story. That's the story, right? I mean, the most civilized. These are the paragons of democracy, civilization, and so on. In 2024, Pusho, they are not sure whether women should be voting.
Backward. Very backward.
And Pusho, that's why these episodes that we are doing right now are possibly going to be some of the most important, because I'm trying to get an African person to see things are shifting in the world. You don't need to bow to whiteness. The lustre and the power and the claim, it's gone. Ushahid, he says there's nothing in Western civilization, it's just empty claims of appropriating other people's stuff and claiming it as your own. But other than that, there's nothing. So our people need to understand what time it is, Pusho. There's nothing left here. It's empty.
It's very empty.
It's an empty container.
Fundamental strong positions that Kamala Harris had taken on very deep and profound issues involving the economy and immigration and ending private health care and defund and dismantle.
And in a sign of true desperation, Donald Trump himself came down to the spin room where he started telling reporters about polls showing that he won the debate. Keep in mind, the spin room is where surrogates come to speak on behalf of the candidates with the media.
Did you hear that, Pusho? The spin room is where surrogates come to speak on behalf of the candidate. He's here. Like, Pusho, what strategic and tactical errors has this guy not made? Like, it's like frame by frame.
There's an interview he did a few weeks back, or it's a month ago, I don't remember, with black journalists, women in Chicago. I don't know if you saw it. Trump.
I might have.
And he says, I think if I remember well, he was asked to motivate why black people should vote for him. And he says they should vote for him because he's going to stop immigrants from coming to take black jobs. And then they ask him, what is a black job? He's like, black job is any job, really. All jobs. Any job is a black job.
And then time where he was talking about one of the black guys running with him. I think it's Donald. And that guy, I think his name is Byron Donald or something like that. He even has a surname with Trump's name. I mean, that's how much he's owned. They own him. And he does behave like a good slave. Like literally, that guy behaves like a good slave, man. He will take punches. In fact, that guy's job is so hard because of just how dumb Trump is. Because really, I think, in fact, the Republicans could possibly do better with him at the forefront as presidential candidate. That other black guy who's very eloquent and all of that. Though that guy is talented, Pusho. His only problem is that he is in a position where he constantly has to defend nonsense, BS. Oh, yeah.
He's been put in a predicament.
He always has to clean up after this guy, you know. So, and that's why I'm saying,
Congressman, welcome to the show. You just heard what Congressman VC had to say about your comments. You've also been criticized by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and the head of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, both of them black. One of them black from Brooklyn, like you were born in Brooklyn, I was born in Brooklyn. What's your response?
My response is that it's very interesting how people can just lie and mischaracterize what I said. The video's on my social media. Go to @ByronDonald. You could listen to it in full. I never said or insinuated anything about Jim Crow being better. Just was talking about the marriage rates of black families in America during that time period. It's an empirical fact.
You mentioned Jim Crow. Wait a minute.
I'm saying, Pusho, our people need to understand. In before, you no longer need to worship whiteness. You don't need to. You know, you have to just observe and see how their world is crumbling and how they've been exposed, you know, and how you are showing forth your talents naturally. You know, you are not even trying to say, you cheated, that's not fair, you just killing it.
Just killing it.
So, Africans, we can take them. We can take them, man. I can take Trump on any day. This guy can beat me in a debate, Pusha. No. I swear. No. Not in a political debate. This guy. Yeah.
Important debate. Now she wants to do another one because she got beaten tonight, but I don't know.
Why wouldn't you look at her?
The polls are indicating that we got 90%, 60%, 72%, 71%, and 89%.
Where are you getting these numbers from?
Very good.
This is just pure cope. The polls he's talking about came from far-right news orgs like Newsmax and Daily Caller. But forget polls. CNN talked to an actual focus group right after the debate. Watch what they said.
Who do you think won, by show of hands, former President Trump? Two, I'll give it 4, but tentative. 2 over there. What about Vice President Harris? More hands.
That was a lot of hands for Kamala Harris from some Pennsylvania voters. Not looking good for Donald Trump. And another focus group of former Trump voters said they're now leaning towards voting for Kamala.
And I was just in a focus group this morning of voters that voted for him in 2016, voted for Biden in 2020. But, you know, there was some question about whether or not they would actually vote for Harris. And the majority of them, actually all of them, and there was 9, so this is anecdotal, but it's 9 voters, all in swing states, were asked if you had to vote today, whether it would be Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you vote for? And they said Harris, that they were now leaning far more towards her after watching that debate, that they felt as though she checked the boxes in terms of questions they had about her ability to demonstrate presidential character and to potentially be a commander-in-chief.
Beyond focus groups and polls, it seemed like the pundits out there thought Kamala had done a wonderful job. Former chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, put it quite bluntly.
Okay, Michael Steele, you were quite animated when I saw you in the hallway earlier about that debate. I'm going to see what you're going to tell me. You think of the debate that you told me in the hallway. What was your take on the debate, Michael Steele? Go ahead. What was the key moment?
She spanked that ass. I'm sorry.
Even Fox News couldn't hide it from their audience that Donald Trump had a disappointing night.
Make no mistake about it. Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. In the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. And there they all were, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, so my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape now.
And former Fox
News, that's pretty much his home.
That's his base.
In terms of media, that's his home. And they are saying, no, Pusho.
He even embarrassed his own base.
When leading figures in your own party, when your primary base, which is pretty much the old white conservative male in America, and those guys are saying, I'm fit to know.
I don't think Trump prepares to these debates.
No, he doesn't. Surely it's clear. And you heard what that guy said. His advisors probably told him, don't take the bait. And he took the bait.
And I'm sure whenever he takes the bait, at the back of his head, he's like, yeah, let me put her in her place.
Yeah.
And he's doing the opposite.
And that's why he comes out thinking he won. No, Pusho, you see, it's a pattern with this, from red pill, neoconservatives, right wing. These guys, and in the YouTube space especially, they don't deal with facts. They mix a little bit of fact in, but ultimately they create wild narratives that sometimes, even if you look at the kind of research they're referencing, it doesn't even align with what the point they're trying to prove. But they will just mention a few, there was a study there, and then now they start to talk BS.
Also, the studies they cite are always problematic.
Yeah, and then they just invent a narrative now. They start to create a thing in their own world. So Trump suffers the same thing. That's how he can come out of a debate like this and think he won.